It is so great to be back home. As someone with a deep passion for placemaking and public service and an affinity for sunshine, wine, and tri-tip, there's literally nowhere else I would rather be. And serving as the next community development director for the city is truly an honor. For the last decade, as Jim mentioned, I worked for the City of Beverly Hills. There are definitely more Porsches than pickups there. In many ways, it's very different than the San Luis Obispo, but in other ways, it's surprisingly similar. There, I had the opportunity to work closely with businesses to develop strategies to help the city remain an economically competitive destination in a changing global market. I crafted regulations and facilitated development projects to encourage housing and business opportunities. And I provided guidance as the community balanced the pressures of development and the need for housing with their desire to retain their small town charm and unique sense of place. Sound familiar? I loved it. I met fantastic, passionate people. We tackled big issues, but for me, it just wasn't home. When my husband and I had our son, we thought seriously about where we wanted to live and the life we wanted to create as a family, and I knew it was time to come back home. I've only been back for a short while, but I can tell that in many ways, SLO is the same as it was when I was growing up. We're still a community that shares a vision of the city's future, guided by a spirit of innovation and a respect for our past. We're still an engaged community that cares deeply about our city, sometimes disagrees about how to go about things, but we always do it nicely. And we care about each other, as evidenced by the high levels of a community involvement in local decision-making and the countless businesses, nonprofits, and volunteers that are truly the heartbeat of this city. We're still a community that's protective of our small town charm and unique sense of place. This is something that so many other cities struggle to maintain or aren't lucky enough to have in the first place. And we're still a community that values public life. Growing up here, I was never at home. I remember spending summers biking around town, pooling together allowance money with a few friends to share a shake and fries at Hudson's, and strolling aimlessly through downtown for hours, eating frozen yogurt and people watching by the creek during concerts in the plaza. And some of my most fond memories are eating ribs and fresh berries on the curb at Thursday Night Farmers Market, which just celebrated its 40th anniversary and is more popular than ever. And I still do these exact same things with my son today. While a lot remains the same, obviously a lot has changed. San Luis is changing. Like all cities, it's not static. It's a work in progress. Change is inevitable and necessary. We have challenges that we must address: housing, sustainability, homelessness, economic vitality, and ensuring that SLO is a welcome place for everyone, to name a few. While it's clear the city is changing, the changes we have seen and will continue to see are not accidental. SLO's change is purposeful and measured, guided by plans that are created by the community, like the general plan, the blueprint that outlines the city's growth into the next decade, or our new economic development strategic plan adopted last week by City Council, which is the result of a monumental amount of community input and will shape the SLO's future economy over the next 5 years. In fact, it's SLO's history of thoughtful planning that sparked my love of cities and inspired me to study city planning in the first place. I noticed from a young age that some places like SLO just felt nice. They were vibrant and walkable, businesses and people thrived, good cities encouraged people to be outside and spend time together, and they leaned into the unique sense of place that made them distinct. I became obsessed with understanding why some cities felt good and why some cities just didn't seem to work. I studied and collected maps and spent way too much time in the 90s building and destroying cities in SimCity, which is nothing like real city planning, unfortunately. And as I got older, I traveled. I walked my way through every city and town that I could get to, and I fell in love with city planning when I realized I could make a career out of helping communities create a vision for their future and facilitating that vision. It's now my time to give back to the city that made me who I am and inspired me to pursue a career that I love so much. As SLO's Community Development Department is already doing amazing work. In my role, I want to ensure the great work that you expect and deserve from the department continues and gets even better. I also want to meet the community. I want to meet you. I want to understand your vision for SLO, the challenges you face, and what I can do to support your vision. My door is always open. I am more excited to work and live here than ever before. We are the lucky stewards of this city, and together we will only make it better. Thank you for the warm welcome home.